Hey guys, welcome to this week's edition of Happier Boost, where every week I pick a topic or an idea or practice to introduce to you and maybe give you a way to practice your happierness in a different way you haven't thought of. So this week I want to talk about turning routines into rituals. It's something actually that I think is the foundation, one of the foundational things that I started to do a couple years ago that really shifted, the fabric of my life, right? Because if you think about it, our days are filled with routines. Everything from getting ready in the morning to helping get other people ready in your house, or commuting to work, or the stuff you do at work, the meetings when you get home. Everything becomes a routine, and partly that's awesome because we need some structure, but also the downside of routines is that they kind of make us go on autopilot, right? And it's not really our fault. It's just the way our brain works. So the cool thing I found out is our brain takes up 25% of the energy that our body spends in a day, which is a lot. Like, that's a quarter of all the energy. And it's constantly trying to conserve energy in case, there's like a wild boar running at us or a big rock rolling at us. Not really something that happens now, but when we got started as humans, that's something that the brain had to look out for. And so to try and conserve energy, anything that's familiar, anything that we're used to, what the brain does essentially puts it on autopilot, which means it almost like it didn't happen. And so that's what happens when we kind of give ourselves into routines. So creating a ritual, the difference between a ritual and a routine is actually really simple. Rituals have an intention to them, and the intention is to give it some meaning or some purpose, so just to kind of let you be there for it and not just kind of glide through it. And so one of the things that I try to do is I try to think of the simplest, lowest effort ways to turn a routine that I'm already doing, that is already part of my day, into a ritual, into something that's, a little more special. It gives me, a little sparkle inside, a little feeling of this has some meaning. So I wanted to share 3 tiniest, simplest, most effortless ways that I've turned some routines into rituals. So the first one is kind of ending the day. There's that point in the day where you kind of you've done the dishes, you've finished dinner, you finished working, maybe the kids, if you have kids, are in bed. You're kind of finished the routine of cleaning up, ending the day. And so it used to be kind of this weird thing for me where it was kind of hard after that to sort of relax, because I'd always think of okay, what's another thing I should be doing? What else should I be doing? So I bought this candle, and I love the way it smells. It also makes this crackling noise. I don't know, they make these candles now. And the thing that I do now is when I'm done with that routine of finishing up for the day, I have a little ritual where I go into the living room, I take the candle, I light it, and I just hang there with a magazine or even going through Instagram or a cup of tea just for a few minutes. And it's become this awesome ritual of ending the day. So that's one idea. Another idea is comes from this idea of coupling things. So every day I go on a walk, and I've talked about it to you guys before. And some days I really don't feel like going on a damn walk, when it's raining or it's snowing or it's cold, I'm not up for it. And so what I try to do is I try to make a little ritual out of it. So I pick a podcast, and I take some time to pick a podcast that I'm really into. And my ritual is that the walk is all about listening to the podcast. And I mentioned that it has to do with coupling. So it's this concept that I heard where you couple 2 things where you, one thing you enjoy and one thing maybe not so much, and you couple them together, and you only allow yourself to do that enjoyable thing. For me, it's listening to the podcast while you're doing that other thing. For me, it's going on a walk when it's really cold out. And it turns my whole walking ritual on days when I'm don't feel like doing it, into a routine. It turns it from a routine into a ritual because I'm listening to a podcast, I'm learning something new, I'm enjoying myself. So another simplest way to take something kind of and turn it into something more pleasant. And the third way is, I talk about this to anyone who will listen. So I drink tea or coffee most mornings. I think most of us drink something every morning. And for the longest time, I would just grab whatever cup, we had in the cupboard to do it. But then I came across this cup. It was actually at a friend's house that I loved. And so I went on Amazon and I bought this cup. It was $12 or something. And now that's the cup that I use for my morning tea or coffee. And it's the tiniest thing, but for me, it becomes this little ritual where I go get my cup, and if it's in the dishwasher and it's not clean, I actually go and clean it. I get that one cup, and that's my morning cup for tea or coffee. And again, it takes something that I'm already doing, like I'm already drinking the tea or coffee, and it makes it just a little bit special. It's like my ritual. It's my cup, and it's my favorite cup, and I love the way it feels in my hands, and it just helps me like savor those few moments more. So those are some really simple ideas just to give you guys food for thought to come up with your own. But what I'd love for you to do this week is to think of one way that you can take a routine that you're already doing, whatever it is, and make it into a little bit of a special ritual. Make it something that makes you feel good, makes you feel like it's something you can look forward to and not just like, oh, I gotta get through it. I'll see you next week for next edition of Happier Boost.